Good afternoon again. My name is Farishta Dinshaw, and I welcome you all here today on behalf of the Zoroastrian Society of Ontario and Mosaic, our interfaith collective. I'd like to start with a land acknowledgement. As a settler, I acknowledge that I am standing on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabeg, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. And now it is home of diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. I also acknowledge that Toronto is covered under Treaty 13, signed by the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaty, signed by multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. All those of us who come to live and work here are responsible for honoring this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. Before I introduce the president of Zoroastrian Society of Ontario, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Mosaic. It is a collective of 7 different faith groups who work together to build a diverse, inclusive society. We have events such as this one all throughout the year, though we took the summers off. And we welcome everyone to attend those events. If you are not already a member, there is a sign-up sheet at the registration desk. It would be wonderful if you would add your name and email address to the list so that we can let you know about all our future programming. So without further ado, I'm welcoming Mitra Jam, who is the president of the Zoroastrian Society of Ontario, to give her welcome remarks.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon. How's everyone doing today? That's what I love to hear. So driving here, I couldn't believe we woke up to sunshine and then there was snow. What is going on today? I don't know. So as you could hear from my accent, yes, I am originally from the UK. I was an active member of the Zoroastrian Society in UK, and I moved here in the 90s. Again, very active with my husband, and currently I'm the president, and I'm proud to say, of this beautiful community, Zoroastrian Society of Ontario. So the hall you're actually sitting in, it was purchased back in the mid-70s by a wonderful gentleman from the family of the Guy family. This actually belonged to a famous Canadian author, and I never remember her name, Mazo de la Rocha. So this was originally a famous Canadian author's home. And when you go into the prayer room, that was actually her original library where she wrote her famous books. So that is a heritage area. So you'll be able to see all the original woodwork, and it's beautiful. So if you stay on afterwards, please welcome to have a look around our little community center here. And grateful for Freddie Mirza for everyone being here attending this interfaith. I hope you have an enjoyable afternoon, as I know you all will. And afterwards, I'm sure there'll be some delicious delights waiting for us afterwards. Thank you and welcome again.
I am now going to welcome Irvad Mehbad Dastur to come and recite a brief prayer and give the explanation.
Good afternoon, everybody, and it's nice to see you all over here at the Zoroastrian Society of Ontario. We welcome you all for this event. The prayer that I'm going to say is the prayer of unity and good health. It's called Hama Zorbim. Hama zorbim, hama zorma shobim, hama zorvesh kerfe bim, ham kerfe karan bim, duraz vana karan bim, sar serat vachan vatpul, uzar shadva shan man be pariraud, best garot man vavashum khan, roshan garot man, hama kurash mi avar saud, Shem vahu vahishtem asti, ushta asti, ushta hamai, yat ashai, vahishtai Shem. I'll now say the translation of this prayer. May we remain united in strength and good health. May we remain united in righteousness. May we remain united in many good deeds, and may we remain the doers of all meritorious deeds too. May we remain afar from the guilt of evildoers. May we be able to cross the Chinwat Bridge and rejoice and ease from over the summit. May we then attain eternal bliss in the heavenly celestial light of Gaurautman. May such pious yearnings be granted unto us. So this particular prayer of unity and good health is usually recited after the Kusti ritual, which is a daily prayer that we pray. It emphasizes on the unity of the purpose of doing good deeds amongst all good-minded people, aiming for harmony, peace, and togetherness, often translated as one with the righteousness. Thank you very much. Thank you all for being over here. I'd now like to call upon Freddie Mirza to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward Maybert. Just a quick, I know we are running short on time, so it won't be a long one. I just wanted to take this moment to recognize those who have given their life and supported this Mosaic group ever since it was established in the 80s or so. Amongst them were, recently we lost one of the Airwood. Airwood is a title for the industrial, like the priest. His name was Jehan Bagli. And Jehan and myself were involved in the same event by Mosaic in 2010 or 2011. And he was a staunch supporter of Mosaic, along with the late President Sam Vesuna and other Mobed Yazdi Hatia. One of the founding members, Nauzur Kotwal, he could not make it today. So these are all, and then there were others that I have got on my list that I think we should not forget. Ghulam Sajjan, I remember very well. Ghulam used to do the job that Kainas and Farishta are doing, timekeeping. He was excellent in that. 3 minutes or 3 minutes. He would get up, make you sit down, okay? I also have Are Koha, is that right? Are Koha. And there were numerous other supporters, and let's just take a moment to remember them. Thank you. I'll just say a quick, short prayer in Avesta, and we believe that we got two spiritual beings in us. One is what we call the Urvan, which is the pathfinder, and if you do good deeds or bad deeds, you can blame it on Urvan. The other is called Foroher, which is the emblem that you see, the winged man. That's the guiding spirit of Ahura Mazda. So when we are blessing and we are hoping that they unite in the heavenly world. So the short prayer is, Ita iristanam Urvano, Yau Ashonam Fravashio. May the Urvans and the Fravashis unite in the kingdom of Ahura Mazda. So let's take a brief moment and think about these souls. Thank you. Thank you. I would now call upon Kainas. Sorry. We have to do the lighting of the candle. Right. So may I call upon all the faith leaders to join in lighting the candle right now? Okay. Please, thank you.
Thanks for being here. Thank you.
Yeah.
So now we begin the interesting part of the event, all the talks. I would first like to invite Kainaz Sidhwa to come and tell you a little bit about Zoroastrian weddings. But before she comes to the podium, I'm going to share these two paddles with all the speakers. At 5 minutes, I will raise this to say you have only 2 minutes left. And at 7 minutes, I'm going to wave this. If 7 minutes if you cross the 7 minutes, I will come and lead you to your seat as suggested by Freddie Uncle. So Kainaz, please come and start the event.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kainaz Sidhwa, and I'm happy to take you on a little journey into Zoroastrian weddings, both Parsi and Persian. Zoroastrianism is one of the world's oldest monotheistic religions, born in ancient Persia, and because our community has lived in different parts of the world for centuries, our wedding traditions have grown into two beautiful styles. The spiritual core is the same, but the cultural expressions are wonderfully different. Before I get into the different rituals, it helps to know that while the actual marriage ceremony is the sacred part, everything leading up to it, be it the singing, the turmeric, the gift exchanges, they are all social religious customs meant to bring families together, involve the community, and create joy. They're usually led by the women of the families, and they can happen days, months, or even years before the wedding. However, here in North America, some of these traditions have been adapted over time. In the Parsi tradition, the first formal step is the Rupiah Peravanu, which is a Gujarati term meaning to wear a garland of rupees or money. It is an occasion to exchange gifts between the bride and groom's families. This is followed by the Adravu, the engagement, where families exchange clothes, gifts, and symbolic items like curd, fish, and rock sugar, and the couple exchanges rings. In the Iranian community, the proposal and engagement are known as Khastegari and Bale Borun, also marked by formal visits and gifts exchanges. As we move closer to the wedding, Parsis traditionally celebrate 4 days of rituals. Day 1 is Mandav Saro, where a fresh mango twig is planted at both homes while prayers are recited, signifying a wish for fertility and growth of the family tree. In North America, this custom of 4 days prior to the wedding day is sometimes difficult to follow for logistical, travel, or work-related reasons. Hence, these pre-wedding days are sometimes combined or adjusted. Day 2 may include a visit to the fire temple for Varat Pattarni Baj to honor ancestors, though this is not always performed here. Day 3 in India and Pakistan is called the Khichdi No Divas, which is another Gujarati term literally meaning having yellow turmeric rice, and it's a simple rest day. And day 4 is the wedding day with homes decorated in chalk patterns and flowers and guests singing traditional wedding songs. These ceremonies relate to the Parsi Zoroastrians and not the Irani Zoroastrians or the interfaith marriages. The wedding ceremony itself begins after the Nahan, a ritual shared by both communities, which is a sacred purification bath taken by the bride and groom before the wedding. Traditionally, Parsi grooms wear a dagli and feto, which is a black cap, or a jama, pagri, and pichori if they are priests, and brides wear a white sari with their heads covered. Persian brides usually wear white or ivory gowns, and grooms wear suits. However, here in North America, younger couples sometimes choose modern outfits. In Parsi weddings, both bride and groom wear garlands and a red kumkum mark on their foreheads. The groom arrives first, and the bride's mother or a senior lady from the bride's family performs achumichu, a ritual with coconut, water, and sometimes an egg to ward off the evil eye. When the bride arrives, the groom's mother or a senior lady from his family performs the same ritual for her. The bride and the groom then sit facing each other with a white cloth between them, holding rice in their left hands and joining right hands beneath the cloth in a handshake style. Two witnesses, one from each family, hold a white cloth between the bride and groom for a ritual called Ara Antar, which is one of the most distinctive parts of the ceremony. The priest and the women of the family form a circle around the couple. The priest recites the Yathavaryo prayer, winding a cotton thread around them in a clockwise circle 7 times. At the final prayer, the couple throws rice at each other, a playful moment that symbolizes love and prosperity, and is interpreted as the one who throws first is the one who wins the game of love. The bride and the groom then pay homage to the fire, which is kept burning in a small vase. Their chairs are rearranged side by side so that the bride sits on the left side of the groom, symbolizing that she's close to the groom's heart. The heart of the ceremony is the Ashirvad, where the couple sits facing east as priests shower them with rice, coconut, pomegranate seeds, and rose petals, each representing prosperity, support, fertility, and joy. The priest asks the bride, groom, and their witnesses to affirm consent 3 times, and blessings are recited, invoking the Eryaman Yazid, who is the guardian angel of marriage and harmony. Afterwards, the couple visits a fire temple and returns to be greeted by guests. Some other playful rituals include the bride's sister hiding the groom's shoes and demanding a ransom, and the Pagdovanu, where the bride's sister-in-law jokingly threatens to spill milk on the groom's shoes until he offers her a gift. Persian Zoroastrian weddings have their own gorgeous aesthetic. The centerpiece is the sofre agd, a ceremonial spread filled with symbolic items, a mirror for clarity, sugar cones for sweetness, herbs and incense for protection, and bread, nuts, and fruits for abundance. The formal marriage contract, Gawah Giran or Andarze Gawah Giri, is signed in the presence of witnesses and a priest, emphasizing truthfulness, purity, and stability. There's hand fastening, rice throwing, and blessings, just like in Parsi weddings, but the look and feel are distinctly Persian. After the ceremony, traditions like Madarzan Salam, where the groom honors his mother-in-law, and Pagosha, where relatives host celebratory meals, keep the celebrations going. Zoroastrian weddings, whether Parsi or Persian, are joyful, symbolic, and deeply rooted in ancient values. They celebrate not just the union of 2 people, but the joining of families, the blessings of ancestors, and the hope for a life built on good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. I hope this little journey helps you feel more at home the next time you attend a Zoroastrian wedding, or at least explains why someone's mother might suddenly be trying to break an egg near the groom's head. Thank you for letting me share this part of my heritage with you. Thank you so much, and now I'll invite the next one. I'll invite Rema Cello to walk us through the Christian weddings. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone, and I will give you a little presentation on what is a Catholic wedding. Okay, so marriage in the Catholic faith is a really big deal. It is one of the most important sacraments that a couple can enter into. So three components or three main facts regarding the sacred rite of marriage is that it is a covenant, it's the unbreakable bond, and it's also a celebration. A covenant is a sacrament between a baptized man and woman who enter into a consensual lifetime partnership with God for the good of the spouses and ultimately for the procreation and propagation of family and the education of children. It's an unbreakable bond. The church teaches that love is perfected through marriage. Children are a gift that come from marriage, deepening that love and allowing it to grow, to thrive, and to ripen. And ultimately, it is a celebration. Who doesn't like a party? Marriage celebration always takes place during Holy Mass because of the connection of all the sacraments with the Paschal mystery of Christ. It's a joyous occasion witnessed by friends and family and always performed in a church where, all the rites with all of their deep meaning and all of their wonderful sacredness is felt and experienced by all. The couple seal their consent to each other through the offering of their own lives by uniting it to the offering of Christ through the church made present in the Eucharistic sacrifice, and by receiving the Eucharist so that communicating in the same body and the same blood of Christ, they may form but one body in Christ. Okay. So you're invited to a Catholic wedding and it's really big deal and there's all this stuff happening and people are running around and the flowers are set beautifully and everybody's all just, anxious and happy. And what do you expect? Well, the ceremony always takes place in a church. Non-Catholic guests are expected to stand and sit with the rest of the congregation, but they are not expected to kneel. They are encouraged to read prayers and to sing with the congregation, and they do not receive communion. In some churches, ones that are more modern and more, linked to media, they'll have maybe screens up where they'll have the prayers posted so people can recite them together. They may have the hymns listed as well too, so you can sing along. Other churches might have the bride and groom prepare a program that they give out to people as they come in, so it's in either or. Pictures and videos, of course, you can take pictures and videos of the event. However, you are not allowed to stand at the altar or face the congregation. Generally, we reserve pictures and videos to times when the bride is proceeding into the church, they're signing the register, or they're leaving together after they've been declared and announced as man and wife. It's not customary or considered good form to be on the altar in their face or interfering at all with the ceremony, and no priest would like that, so please, respect the priest, respect the location, and, abide by the rules. What to say or do? Of course, you're going to offer your congratulations. This is a big deal. It's a great event. It's a happy, happy day. And of course, you're going to be doing it in a reverent way. There's no shouting in the church. You're not standing here and 50 feet away. There's Bill. Hey, Bill, how's it going? None of that happening. You use your inside voice when speaking. You, of course, don't speak while the Mass is going on. And when you are, or if you have the opportunity or privilege to be introduced to the priest, you greet him as Father. And basically other tips, use your common sense. Just be polite and respectful. What to wear? So, as I said, you get married, you're getting married in the house of God, and of course we expect people to dress modestly, with a bit of decorum because you're entering into, a holy place. Generally, men would wear shirts and jackets, a suit and a tie, slacks and a polo shirt is fine. Women, pantsuits, skirt with a blouse, nothing, that would be like above the knee, usually, just something modest covering the shoulders and so forth. Any kind of head covering is not required by men or women to wear. So what you see is pretty much the standard of, what people would wear to a Catholic wedding. Okay, so this depiction is a picture of this cross here, which is a sculpture by a Canadian artist by the name of Timothy Schmaltz. He's done a lot of bronze sculptures that appear in like various places around the world. And this is the Theology of the Body cross. And as you can see, the husband and wife are united together, and they form a unity that mimics, Christ's unity with us here. Theology of the Body was coined and also written extensively by our St. John Paul II, former Pope. And basically, this cross was created by Timothy Schmaltz, inspired by Pope John Paul II. And as you can see, the couple in union visually mimics Christ on the cross. And I'm just going to read a short quote from John Paul II. Happiness is being rooted in love. Original happiness speaks to us of the beginning of man who emerged from love and initiated love. That happened in an irrevocable way, despite the subsequent sin and death. In his time, Christ will be a witness to this irreversible love of the Creator and Father, which had already been expressed in the mystery of creation and in the grace of original innocence. And therefore also the common beginning of man and woman, that is, the original truth of their body in masculinity and femininity, to which Genesis 2:25 draws our attention, does not know shame. That's basically it. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope this was, a light, curious introduction to a Catholic wedding, and we hope to see you in our churches at a wedding, hopefully sometime in the future. And with that, I'd like to introduce Sukhmani Kaur, if I pronounced that correctly.
Good afternoon, everyone, and a special thank you to Mosaic Interfaith for having me here today. It's a great opportunity to be able to stand in such a welcoming room where everyone is here sharing and everyone is respecting each other's views and beliefs. I really think it is a great opportunity and a place to be in today. So as we all know, the topic is of marriage, and in the Sikh faith, which I am representing today, we call it the Anand Karaj. So the Anand Karaj is the main part of the marriage, although many people do choose to have other events on the side. However, I will be focusing on the ceremony that unites the two souls together. Okay, so as you can see, that's the spelling of it, Anand Karaj. So the word Anand Karaj translates to the act of bliss. So it's basically something you are doing with the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with together to achieve a state of peace within yourself. So before the actual wedding begins, we don't have anything that's called like a proposal or anything, but we do have something which is called the gurmai, and this serves as the engagement. So the gurmai will usually happen in the gurdwara, sometimes in someone's home if the Holy Scripture is present there. And in this, the couple will stand before the Holy Scripture, the Guru Granth Sahib Ji, and do an ardas, which is a prayer where they're just seeking the blessings, asking for their guidance on just help on taking the engagement to a marriage and beyond. So after that, a hukamnama is taken, which is a verse from the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, which is our Holy Scripture, and it acts as a form of guidance for the couple. After that, the families exchange gifts. It's called shagan, and usually the groom will present 5 gifts to the bride, and the bride will give 5 gifts back to the groom. And they're not just like any random gifts. They often hold some sort of significance, and it really varies from person to person. So for example, someone I know who is getting married this coming summer, to his to-be wife, he's going to be giving like a kirpan, which is the symbolic like sword. He's going to be giving called a poti, but it's like a book that has the verses in it. He's also going to be given a kara, which is what we wear on our wrists. He'll be giving a comb, and I also believe he is going to be given a gatra, which is the thing that holds the sacred kirpan. So at this stage, even at just the engagement itself, the focus of it is very God-centered, that it's not just the union between two people, but it's more so of a union between two people now agreeing to walk the path of life together with God, to go to a place where they are able to connect with themselves and with God. Okay, so on the screen are just mainly the main words, just a photo, so you don't really need to pay too much attention there. But to go to the actual wedding day. So on the actual wedding day, it begins at the Gurdwara. So the groom's side will arrive first to the Gurdwara, which is our temple, and then followed by the bride's side. What happens at this time is usually outside the prayer hall or outside the Gurdwara altogether. They'll face each other, and it's called a milni. It's basically where the families are now meeting each other, right? And at this point in time, the bride is not present. It's the groom and his family, and then the bride's family. They'll call up names. They will go, they'll give each other a hug. It's just a very nice way, like, oh, just like, hey, now these are the two families that are now joining to become one, so I'm here to say hi. So that's basically what that first part of the wedding ceremony is. Now the second part of it now is once they go inside, they will take off their shoes, make sure that their heads are covered, and then they will enter the prayer hall. The congregation will usually enter first. They will bow down in Mata Tek, which is what you'd see on the screen there, to the Guru Granth Sahib Ji. However, if it is anyone else who is attending a Sikh wedding and you do not feel comfortable doing that, we will never force you to do that. Only do what you feel comfortable. But everyone else in the congregation would be doing this just as a sign of respect to God. So next, the groom and his family would walk in. And just like, the concept of bridesmaids and groomsmen, usually they will choose people from their family and they will walk into the congregation together. They will bow before God and then they will sit. The groom will walk in last. He will sit right in front of the Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And then the bride and her family will walk in. And then the last to walk in is the bride, who will then again bow and sit beside the groom. So after this, there is something called a Gupt Ardas, which is just where the bridegroom and their parents will stand up in prayer as just asking for blessing to continue on with the wedding ceremony. So throughout this entire time, there is kirtan going on, which is the singing of the hymns. Now going on to one of the most important parts, it's called the Palla ceremony. This is where there is a piece of cloth that is draped there. It's a piece of cloth that's draped over the groom's shoulder and into the bride's hands, and she holds this as a physical representation of that now unity that they are creating. They will then bow together, stand up, and they will walk around the Guru Granth Sahib Ji while the lava are being sung. These are 4 verses that were written by the 4th master of the Sikh faith, Guru Ram Das Ji, and each of them represents a stage in life, or what they should now achieve together being a couple. So I'll just briefly go over what each of them mean. So the first love is mainly talking about starting the path of love and devotion together, and it's about building that connection with each other and with God. The second one is about surrender. It's about giving up everything you have and saying that you are my master and I give everything to you, God, and now you are now agreeing to say this with your partner together. The third love is about the feeling of connection, where they're starting to feel that peace and joy with each other, and they are now finding people that are more like them, where they are now able to connect deeper with God. And the fourth and final love is about a complete union, where they now feel a complete bliss, where they start to see even like things like defeat or difficulty and happiness all together as one in the same way. So even though the couple is now physically getting married, they are more so now, it's like a joint agreement that they are making with each other that we are now going to walk this path of love, truth, and God together instead of separately. So after this, everyone is invited for langar, which is the free community kitchen that we have, where everyone sits together and eats a meal, and that would be the official end of the ceremony. So if you were attending, just be respectful. If you want, you can always talk to someone who is going to be there, and they would be more than happy to provide any extra details on what you need. So thank you so much. I would now like to welcome the representative of the Islamic faith. Sorry if I mess up your name. Said Jerry Zaidi. I'm so sorry. But thank you so much for your time today. Have a great day.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. All praises to the Creator, to the Lord, to our Nourisher, to our Protector, Allah Almighty, and peace be and blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad and his blessed family. I greet you all with the greetings of Islam. Peace be upon you and your family. Indeed, when you look around the world, when you look around the creation, there are so many formations, there are so many creations that direct us towards our Creator, towards our Protector, towards our Nourisher. And our Creator, some people call him Allah, some people call him Yahweh, some people call him Hashem, some people call him Ishwar, whatever name you call him. But we remember him by the Creator, the Lord, the Sustainer. Indeed, he has given a lot of signs and symbols that we have, through which we will be able to get our connection to the Lord. And one of the signs that he has given, when you go through the chapters of Quran, just through the names of the chapter, Quran being our holy book, when you go through the names of the chapters of the Holy Quran, you'll have a lot of names that are upon the creation. Chapter 2, the name, chapter of the cow. Chapter 4, chapter of the woman. Chapter 13, chapter of the thunder. Chapter 17, the chapter of honeybee. Chapter number 24, the chapter of the light. Chapter number 27, the chapter of the ants. Chapter number 76, the chapter of the human beings. Chapter number 85, the chapter of the rising star. Chapter number 89, the chapter of the dawn. Chapter number 91, the chapter of the sun. Chapter number 92, the chapter of the night. And you have almost different chapters on different prophets, on different people that were being sent as a guidance. And every creation is there to remind us of the Creator. And one of the very important signs that Allah has given is a sign of the marriage. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ, as it says, within the signs and the symbols and the indicators of your Creator is what? That He has created your soulmates, He has created your spouses within you, from you. And He has created the love and affection, the mercy and tenderness, so that you can dwell in peace and tranquility with each other. And within it are the signs and the symbols for the people that want to reflect. Marriage in Islamic tradition is one of the signs of Allah Almighty. It's one of the signs of the Creator. And it is so important, it is so significant that if you want to be the recipient of the divine mercy of Allah Almighty, the recipient of His blessings and His grace, it says, وَإِن يَكُونُوا فُقَرَاءَ يُغْنِيهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. Even if you are the poor one, don't worry, Allah is going to give you His sufficiency. Allah is going to give you the wealth and grace and mercy through which you will have abundance. And don't worry, just get married, inshallah. So very important within it is we have sayings of the Messenger of Islam, the Prophet of Islam, Prophet Muhammad. He has said, "An-nikahu min sunnati." Nikah or marriage, we call it nikah in Islamic tradition as marriage. Marriage is from my tradition. And anyone who does not follow my tradition, anyone who derides my tradition, he is not from within me. So it's a very significant thing within the Islamic culture. Now, there are certain things that we remember and we keep in our mind when we are discussing an Islamic marriage. A very important thing, firstly, is the consent. Now, it's a given thing, but consent is important from both husband and wife, from both bride and groom. And in some Islamic traditions, you want, and it is important to have the consent of the father of the bride too. Second thing is to have a dowry money. Like we call it the marital money, the dowry. We call that endowment. But this time, the endowment of the meher, as we call it in Islamic tradition, meher, the amount of money that you have to give, it's not from the bride side, it's from the groom side. Like groom is responsible, the predetermined amount is significant, it's important. to be determined before the marriage. It can be $5,000, it can be $10,000, it can be less as $500 too, depending, right? Whatever both bride and groom are going to agree, that is going to be the amount that has to be given by the groom in future to the bride. It should be given right at the time of the contract, right at the time of the marriage. It can be given in future, whatever date is comfortable. The third requirement, so consent in this, the third requirement we have is the vows that are to be recited by, it does not need to be somebody like me wearing a kufi and everything. It can be recited by anyone, but it is basically a proposal. Proposal in Islamically is given by the girl, and the acceptance is from the man, right? So the vows are recited, and as the vows are being recited, that is the time we believe it's a time in which the doors of the blessings of Allah Almighty are open for the people. It's a time of supplication. It's a time that you want to get more and more connected to the Creator. And then finally, once it's done, there are conditions, there are anything that you can have within the marriage contract. We call it contract. It's between a man and a woman. And you can write anything that you want, which does not go against the spirit of the religion, which does not go against the spirit of the marriage. It can be as easy as, we want to live in Toronto, the bride can request, the groom can request, we want to live in Toronto, let's suppose for 5 years, so that is legally binding upon both of the partners. Now, marriage itself, at the end of the day, it does not have to be very luxurious, it does not have to be very extravagant. As we have the Islamic tradition, the Prophet of Islam has says, the best of the marriages are those in which the least expenses are taken, in which the least trouble is taken. But anybody who comes in, everybody is welcome to attend an Islamic marriage. When you come in, any guest, we do not have any religious symbolism that you have to show or that you have to come. It has to be in a mosque or it has to be in a specific place of worship. It can be at either place. It can be in any place. And when you come there, just be very respectful of when the vows are being recited, when the things are being done. And generally, when it is happening, the concept is, Islamically, the way its concept is being explained is what? هُنَّ لِبَاسٌ لَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لِبَاسٌ لَهُنَّ. That she is your garment, addressing to the man, and you are her garment, her clothes. The way the garments and the clothes are responsible for the protection, the way they are a source of adornment, a source of beauty. Likewise, a husband is a source of beauty for his wife, and a wife is a source of beauty for her husband. A husband is a source of protection for his wife, and a wife is a source of protection for her husband. And inshallah, with this, I would like to end my presentation. I was supposed to be here, but that's fine. I talked to you here, and I thank you, everyone, for giving me the opportunity to introduce it. And I would like to introduce Dr. Rajani, sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, Dr. Rajani Sharma, if she can come in and inshallah enlighten us. Thank you.
I have to be honest, I need more time. Hindu weddings are huge affairs, they go on for days. But I want to begin, dear brothers and sisters, Sahabji, Shalom, Salam, Shastrikal, Amitofo. Did I get it right? Thank you so much, Mosaic, for bringing us together for celebration of our joyous wedding ceremonies. There's so many similarities. I want to blow you away with the huge, huge celebration the Hindu weddings are. I'm going to run out of time. Okay, how does this go next? Can you? It's not working. Oh, please. Okay, so basically a Hindu wedding is please read. I don't want to repeat myself, but I want to let you know that Hindu weddings are coming together of two atmas. We don't use the word soul, because Hindu weddings are about staying together for 7 years, 7 lifetimes. Forget it, 7 lifetimes. So here we go. So basically, it's a sacred union, and the bride and groom are representing divine energies coming together to create a beautiful new world for themselves and the world ahead. So it's a new stage. We call it the Grahast Ashram, and it's a divine partnership. So together, the couple is going to follow the 4 goals of life, which is supporting each other in truth, enjoying sensual pleasures, spiritual growth, and of course, gaining the wealth, which we all know. I just want to point out that this presentation is geared towards the Canadian crowd. So it's, you know, we're all a little bit more flamboyant in Canada. So in ancient times, there were, you know, different types of weddings, but today, mostly marriages are either arranged or they're love marriages. So let me take you away. Come with me to an Indian wedding. If you're invited, you probably, if you're very close to the family, you'll be invited to the mehndi, which is the henna. Next, if you're, if you're very close to the family, you're going to be invited to a haldi ceremony where turmeric is smeared all over the bride and groom. Everybody gets to do it. Do you think that's a lot of fun? It's a lot of fun. Most embarrassing for the couple, but we love it. It's a blessing. Now, this is the part that you all see in Bollywood movies, the groom arriving on a horse or an antique car on a rickshaw. Anything, a motorcycle, doesn't matter how you come with drums, make a lot of noise, and everybody gets to dance. You come in a procession, you're greeted by the mother's, by the groom, bride's side, you each garland each other. I think the milni happens, which there's a lot of similarities between different cultures here on the dharmic side. And then the bride arrives with her brothers, and with great pomp and ceremony. And now, I cannot go into details because I want to mention that India is a very diverse country. So we have 22 different languages and as many states, and everybody wants to, it's a very free world in India. You do whatever you think you want to do. You don't need to go to the temple. You can have the wedding in your house, in your backyard, in a fancy hotel, anywhere you want. We are free. But there are core parts of the wedding I would like to cover. One is the peras, which is the fire is seen as the witness, and all the vows and the ceremonies are done in front of the fire as witness. And even after the wedding, the couple performs a havan as a couple to start their first act of their marriage is this sacred ceremony of being in touch with their spiritual side. Like I said, there's many diverse ceremonies across different cultures. You might find somebody say, oh, we don't do that, or we don't do that, we do this instead. So please forgive me, but these are common. They're the 7 steps, 7 vows. There's the sindoor ceremony, putting the red, which is a sign of a marriage, of a married woman. And then there is the necklace that is called the Mangal Sutra. What happened? Oh, okay. Okay, so if you're lucky enough to be invited to a Hindu wedding, you're in for a treat, because there'll be song, there'll be dance, and there'll be disco music, there'll be bhangra, there'll be loud dancing and celebration, there'll be speeches. We put it, you know, this is, what do we call? A mosaic. Everybody gets to participate. They'll do whatever you want to do. A lot of modern versions happening, but please remember that this is a very sacred. We are celebrating 2 divine beings coming together as one, pledging to spend their life supporting each other's physical, mental, social, physical, and spiritual growth. Thank you so much for having me, and you're all invited to come to an Indian wedding. Have a good time. I'd like to now introduce, it's my pleasure to introduce Brother Rabbi Corey Weiss.
Good afternoon, everyone. You did it. I haven't timed myself, so I think I'm going to speak fast. Whether you're familiar with Judaism or encountering it for the first time, Jewish weddings offer a beautiful window into how a community understands love, commitment, and sacred partnership. At its core, Jewish marriage is not really about love. Like most of our traditions, for thousands of years, marriages were arranged. I think for most of us, love was only 200-300 years ago. And in the Orthodox world, the most traditional Jewish world, there are still arranged marriages, although it is the bride who always has right of refusal. So even if her parents choose someone, she can refuse. At its core, Jewish marriage is not really about love, though that is important. It is about covenant. In Hebrew, we often use the word brit, which means a sacred covenant or agreement. The idea goes all the way back to Torah, where covenants define relationships between people and between humans and God. Marriage in this way becomes a partnership not only about love, but about responsibility, commitment, mutual care, and shared purpose. In Jewish tradition, a couple is often described as building a Bayit B'Yisrael, a home in Israel, not the modern country, although there's plenty of Jewish marriages there, but among the Jewish people, a home that is rooted in Jewish values, rooted in the history and heritage of the people Israel. That home becomes a place where kindness, hospitality, learning, and community can grow. In the Hebrew Bible, there are actually no rules for weddings. There's no discussion of how to get married. We don't know what weddings looked like back then. We certainly know there was marriage. Our rituals today are defined by the rabbis, our teachers, so only about 2,000 years old. A Jewish wedding, no, went too far. There we go. A Jewish wedding day begins before the ceremony with two rituals. The first is the signing of the ketubah, and the second is the bedekin, the veiling of the bride by the groom. The ketubah, which means simply something that is written, is the Jewish marriage contract. The traditional ketubah is in Aramaic, one of our Jewish sacred languages, and was essentially a financial document, a prenuptial agreement, if you will. It spelled out what the husband would owe the bride if they divorced. In the days when women did not really have careers of their own, this was very important. So that if a man divorced his wife, he owed her, so that she would be cared for until, in the traditional world, she found a new husband to take care of her. In our Reform movement, our liberal Judaism, our ketubahs outline the responsibilities of the partners, especially the obligation to care for one another and to create a Jewish home. And as you can see, it is often beautifully decorated. It is often displayed in the home as a daily reminder of the couple's commitment. What you see on the screen, these are examples of both historic, the one on the bottom right and the one in the middle, of historic ketubot, which are beautifully decorated, and then some modern ones on the sides there. The ketubah is made legal by two witnesses' signatures. They must be Jewish, so they know what they're signing. They must be over 13 years old, so that they're of legal age, and non-blood relatives, because there otherwise would be a conflict of interest since it's a financial and legal document. After the signing, the bedekin, which is a Yiddish word, the veiling of the bride by the groom, takes place right before the ceremony. The history of this ritual goes back to the Torah, to the story of our patriarch Jacob, who is tricked into marrying Leah by her father Laban instead of his beloved Rachel, her younger sister, because she is fully veiled before the wedding. Today, Jewish brides wear a see-through veil, but in those days, more like that. Maybe eyes, but that was it. So he is tricked. And so since then, we have asked the groom to put the veil on the bride just to make sure it's really her. Of course, we know it's really her. But it's still, I always tell couples, a very loving gesture for the groom to finish dressing the bride for their wedding. Oy Gewalt. Okay, that's... Bedecken is followed immediately by the procession and ceremony, starting with traditionally the bride making 7 circles around the groom. Egalitarian weddings, I often suggest 3 of each and 1 little together. And I'm going to suggest that maybe we borrowed this from our Zoroastrian neighbors, having already heard that you do the same thing. Okay, I'm trying to hurry. A Jewish wedding typically takes place under a chuppah, a canopy, open on all sides. The chuppah represents the couple's new home, open to guests and filled with possibility. Its openness is intentional. It symbolizes a home that welcomes others. The ceremony itself has 2 parts, 2 ancient parts. The first is erusin, often translated as betrothal. Here the couple formally commits to one another. Traditionally, this includes a blessing over wine. We use wine to turn ordinary time into sacred time. A blessing of betrothal and the giving of rings, which includes the vows which state, "Behold, you are consecrated to me as my husband or wife with this ring according to the law of Moses and Israel." The second part is nisuin, literally lifting up. The actual marriage ceremony itself, this is marked by the sharing of 7 blessings, and the couple being blessed by the officiant, who is usually a rabbi or a cantor. One of the most well-known elements in the nisuin ceremony is the Sheva Brachot, the 7 wedding blessings. The first is over wine and celebrates themes of joy, love, companionship, the hope for children, and the hope for a world filled with harmony. They connect the couple's happiness to something bigger, the well-being of the whole community. Originally, the 2 parts of the ceremony were held a year apart, but in bad times for the Jewish people, which we've had a few in our days, something bad could happen to the groom in the year between erusin and nisuin. He could be out killed by Cossacks or Jew haters. He could be abducted into the Tsar's or the king's army. I'm almost done. He could, God forbid, run off with someone else and skip town. Any of those would leave the bride unable to marry anyone else. And so the rabbis who were wise and practical said our solution will be, we'll move the 2 ceremonies to the same day. So nothing can go wrong, and if the groom tries to run, at least everybody there can stop him. The wedding, almost there, wedding is concluded by the breaking of a glass, usually by the groom. Sometimes there's 2 brides, so one of them does it. The guests all shout Mazel Tov, which means congratulations, and if you're at a Jewish wedding, you can do that. There are many interpretations. One is that in moments of great joy, we still remember some sad times and that the world needs to be repaired. Another is that relationships are fragile. I usually don't explain because there's so many explanations, and I've talked plenty by then. And then after the ceremony comes the celebration. Joyful, lively, communal, lots of music, very often and a great meal. Very often bride and groom are lifted up on chairs for a dance to elevate them, and there are circles of dancing and celebrating. And now I'm going to conclude. I got one more? No, that's okay. Ultimately, Jewish marriage, and we've heard this from others, is more than about a single day. The wedding is the beginning of a lifelong process of building something together, something rooted in love, strengthened by tradition, and sustained by community. Thank you. And now I'm going to try, this is the hardest part of the day for all of us. I'm going to try to introduce our next speaker, the Venerable Shiguan of Fo Guangshan Temple of Toronto. How did I do? Yes. Oh, good.
Thanks for hosting this event. It's a really interesting topic. And also thanks for the host. Thanks for Fred and the friend to reach out to me me and Wilson. And dear friends, thanks for being here. And I'm sharing about the Buddhist perspective about marriage. And I wasn't aware about the PowerPoint was around. So I actually had a few photos to show you how Buddhist wedding ceremony held in our temple. In the recent past year, we got, I think, pretty much like 2 or 3 wedding ceremonies. And I'll show you on the screen later on. So from the perspective of a Buddhist perspective, our founding master, Master Xing Yun, Venerable Master Xing Yun, he's got a quite modern idea about Buddhist teachings, how we could apply it in our daily life. So to reflect the wedding, the couple of the wedding, the wish to understand, to respect, and to connect. So the formation of a family, and what you have seen on the screen right now, it is a group wedding ceremony, which was held in our headquarters in Foguangshan, Taiwan, in Kaohsiung. Can show you you can also see those photos as slideshows. So in Buddhism, marriage is not about something like a divine authority, but it's a meaningful human relationship grounded in cause and conditions. So the two individuals come together, and not by chance, but through affinities developed over time. So therefore, marriage is seen as a practice, a path of cultivation where both partners learn compassion, patience, responsibility, and mutual respect. So our founding master, Xing Yun, often emphasized that a good marriage is not based solely on romance, but on shared values and commitment to grow together. So in this sense, marriage became a part of their spiritual life. It's not a separate from practice. It's a practice which is like a mutual understanding and patience and grown up. So the wedding will be focused simply in our temple, for example, will be about 40 to 60 minutes, probably in an hour or so. And they will chant sutra. And it's a pretty short sutra, maybe a few minutes, like 5 to 6 minutes. And that's the core teaching of the Prajna Paramita Sutra, which is called the Heart Sutra. And they will also have some prayers for them by the presiding Venerable Master, which is our master in the temple, Abbess Venerable Chefan. So during the ceremony, the couple may make vows before the Buddha statues, not a form of worship, but it's an external, like a deity. It's a symbol of awakening and wisdom. So they commit to values such as mutual respect, equality, trust, and support. And the monastics, or the guiding venerables, they may offer blessings and offer the beads of the, like are my beads, like here, as a souvenir to give them some blessings as to the couples. And for guests who are unfamiliar with such a ceremony, it's okay. There's no need to feel anxious or upset. It's just to be included and to be gentle. And if others are bowing, like a prostrate, they may just simply stand respectfully. So if there is chanting, or you may just listen quietly, there's no expectations to perform anything beyond your comfort. So as for what you to say or do, simply sincerity is always appropriate. Offering congratulations, expression joy, and wishing the couple an harmonious life together, universally understood gestures. We also have groups of guests who's they're accompanying together, being in the temple for a long time, so they will be joining the ceremony to give them the greetings and congratulations. And regarding the attire, modest and respectfully clothing is always appreciated. And the guests sometimes will wonder about the gifts. And our temple for the abbess or the venerables will share the souvenir from the temple who had a very nice like a frame or couplet, or besides the beads. So the presence of the guests are always a meaningful offering. So when we attend a ceremony which is unfamiliar about the Buddhist, instead of feeling uncertain, we can approach it with openness and respect. So Master Xing Yuan, our founding master, taught that Buddhism is found in our daily life. So the wedding is also quite familiar for now in the temples. So you might be curious about us, like as a monastics or nuns and monks. We just not get married at all, yeah. But we are encouraging people who will be having very meaningful and beautiful life as a couple. So we will host and like preside over a wedding ceremony for all the devotees who wanted to be in the temple to host the wedding ceremony. So that's my sharing, and thank you very much for your listening.
At this time, we offer everyone a chance to have questions and answers. So if anyone has a question, if you'd like to raise it, we can have our speakers come up here and respond to you if you have questions. Sorry, sir, your question?
The picture presented is assuming that both parties belong to the same religion. What is the view of each religion in terms of intermarriage? What are the conditions for intermarriage in that?
So we couldn't hear. Ines, could you hear what was the question? Interfaith marriages? Okay, so I think we need to have our speakers come up here if they would like to address those questions. Ragini? Mohinder is going to join us because Sukamani had to leave and do a paper.
Do I get another 7 minutes? Okay. Traditionally, Jews encourage in marriage, Jews marrying other Jews, because to have a Jewish home, it takes a lot of understanding of Jewish tradition and heritage and holidays and customs and things like that. However, sometimes we have interfaith weddings. I do not officiate at those. There are a few rabbis in town who do. We encourage interfaith couples to join the synagogue. They are full voting members of the synagogue. We help them to raise Jewish children. So we welcome them in the best we can. I'm just not able to officiate myself. So we encourage Jews to marry Jews, but the intermarriage rate, I believe, in Canada is about 37 to 40%. So, and it's not getting lower. And some non-Jewish partners convert, others don't, but they're all welcome in the synagogue, and we will happily help them create a Jewish home together.
Hi. From a Catholic perspective, I used to be a wedding coordinator at my parish, and this came about a couple of times. For simple things, if you're not a baptized Catholic or if you're marrying someone outside the faith, you can have your marriage blessed in the church, but they won't have like the full rites, like communion offered at that particular service, simply because that's part of a liturgy, and that's a very sacred thing for baptized Catholics when they partake. And of course, we too encourage, people of the faith to marry within the faith. So our way of welcoming would be to speak to the priest of the parish that one of the members is wanting to have their marriage service or blessing taking part in. And of course, they take it from there. So things can be done, but it won't be the full-on event that it would be for a baptized couple.
Within the Sikh faith, the parents generally want their kids to marry within the community itself. That's a preference of the parents, most parents, I would say. But the thing is, there is no restriction otherwise that, you could marry. As long as the people who are marrying together, they are happy. There's no restriction as such that you cannot marry. But parents do play a part in terms of saying, we prefer that you marry within your own community. But there's no restriction. Anybody can marry anybody, and in our religious places, in Gurdwara, where the place of our worship is, doesn't make a difference. They will perform the marriage ceremony, there's no problem. And one thing I also note that in our religion, in our faith, you don't need to have a priest to do the marriage. I can do the marriage, for example, perform it, as long as I perform it as per the rules, with the ceremony as we do. So there's no need for any intermediary to be there to perform the marriage. Thank you.
So, Hindu Dharma is very ancient. It's not a religion in the clear, in that sense that of the Abrahamic religions having one book. We have, many, many traditions. Intermarriage is, is seen within India also. There's such diversity, people. But definitely a Hindu can marry any other person of any other faith, as long as that person is willing to come and be part of the Hindu wedding ceremonies. Ceremony is a religious ceremony, so it is performed by a pandit. So if the groom or the bride is willing to go through the ceremony and take the vows, because the vows are very secular. They're like supporting each other to live a life of righteousness, to enjoy sensual pleasures, to gain wealth, and to be on a spiritual path. So all religions have spirituality, so as long as you are pursuing, it's very free. Definitely a Hindu wedding is a religious ceremony. So as long as you're coming and performing, my daughter got married to a white man, and he sat through the wedding, and he didn't want a religious wedding of his own, but we honored his heritage because he had a Scottish heritage, and we had a Scottish ceremony with bagpipes and everything. But he's not a practicing Hindu. We have no expectations of him conversion. We have no concept of converting anybody. You cannot convert to be a Hindu. There is no system of converting because it's a way of life. If you choose to pray to the divine in any shape or form, we welcome all love in all forms, but the Hindu wedding itself cannot be performed unless you are willing to take part in the Hindu wedding rituals, which include going around the fire, putting the signs, and going through the religious aspect. Otherwise, you can just have a ceremony, in the court. But yeah, Hindu religious weddings are religious, but we welcome everybody. Thank you. Without conversion. Thank you.
I believe in Hindu religious and Buddhism has the same foundation. And just due to the time and historical reasons, it went to the mainland China from the north side and go to the Sri Lanka from the south side. So I believe for the Buddhist perspective, there's also no restrictions for the different religious couple to be married. But we do encourage them to have mutual understanding before they got married. So they will respect of each other's religion. That's my put in a short thought. Yeah, thank you.
With Islamic perspective, there are two kinds. So generally, we appreciate and we want people to marry within Islam, like Muslims marrying Muslims. But scholars, and based on the traditions we have, based on what is in Quran, we do have an exception. So general rule is that people are going to marry within their own faith, but with an exception of the people of book. Call them Ahlul Kitab. Kitab means the book, the people of the book. The people of the book, we believe, as per the famous opinion, they are usually Christians, they're usually Jews, and some of the scholars, a stronger opinion, they believe the Parsis, like we are right here, they're people of book too. So with people of book, there are certain exceptions, and that exception means a Muslim man can marry from people, from the woman, from their faith, and those are generally the exceptions, but the general rule is that it has to be within the faith. And if somebody, like are willing to, delve into or marry a Muslim man or Muslim woman, generally they're more than welcome to, look into the Islamic faith, investigate it, look into the research. And if they believe that, they want to be a Muslim, then they will be a Muslim and they can marry the other person of faith. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So this is an interesting point. And as an official clergy with the Zoroastrian Society of Ontario, I have performed multiple weddings of mixed marriages. Sometimes it has been a Zoroastrian boy getting married, or sometimes it is a Zoroastrian girl. And yes, as everybody said over here, we always prefer somebody marrying within the faith. Yes, but this is Canada. What we have seen from 30, 50 years ago and what we are seeing right now, with the children mixing around with everybody on different faiths and everybody, it's really hard to control. So my viewpoint is, yes, we will do the wedding. We'll perform the Tandarosti ceremony. We will give them the good wishes. We'll do whatever, but we cannot, as I think the Hindu person said, we cannot go through the full ritual ceremony as what they want. But yes, I also take the time to explain the ceremony that I have done. And one of the prayers that I do towards the end of the ceremony is the Tandarosti prayer. The Tandarosti is for prayers for good health and well-being for the family. So yes, I will wish both those family members. And when I'm praying the Tandarosti, we always say Neki Bad, Kub Bad, Edun Bad, and also like the way we give them a lot of blessings, like in a way, where they have a lot of good life and so on. So the key thing is, yes, people will marry outside our faith. Unfortunately, we can stop. However, if we look on the other side of it and not just say that it is not a good thing to do, we've seen a lot of kids and adults growing up from mixed marriages come up with some very nice thing. Like they have some interesting capabilities. They have achieved more than sometimes people within our marrying within the faith. Not saying that it is not a good thing, but yes, they have some interesting capabilities. And they say it's like spreading the seeds in that way. Not encouraging, but it is way of life. And I think in Canada, at some point of time, we have to deal with. And talking about marriage, I also would like to bring up this point as well. Yes, it is the marriage, and it's always been a marriage between a man and a woman. However, there are people who marry of the same sex. So it is not just man and a woman. Canada is changing, everything is changing, even the Pope and all that from the religious perspectives, they are going ahead with making some changes in a way. We have to be accommodative, adaptive, and move on with what we want to do. It's not putting down what we are doing as a community or as the religious beliefs, but we cannot force anyone in this day of life in 21st century. So thank you. It is an interesting point, and yes, marriages are there, but things will happen on its own pace. Thank you.
So it was a very interesting question. I think all religious communities are dealing with. So thank you for raising it. In the interest of time, I think we do need to move on. I'm channeling my best Shabnise Suji spirit right now. I shout out to her. She's unwell. She's in the hospital. So part of the prayer that we did at the beginning was in order to acknowledge prayers for healing at this time. And so that was embracing everyone that is thinking of people, thinking of Percy Surdy today as well, apparently getting over some surgery too. He's one of the founding members of Mosaic. So we're thinking of him as well. And we're sending our best wishes for speedy and complete healing to everyone that's in need right now. I want to thank our host, the Zoroastrian Society of Ontario, and all of their wonderful volunteers for welcoming us this afternoon, making this whole sacred space open to us. And at the end, we welcome you to visit their sacred space to see the sacred fire in their prayer room. I want to thank all of our presenters for sharing their knowledge and taking the question, which was unexpected but great. We appreciate your taking the time and effort to get here and share your knowledge in such an entertaining manner. I want to also, Freddie did mention at the beginning, want to acknowledge the vision and leadership of the Zoroastrian Society in the founding of Mosaic. It's 46 years young. It's one of the longest running interfaith organizations in the GTA. And you have to commend those founding visionaries for their spirit in wanting to create an opportunity to bring people of different faiths together to learn from each other, to grow in understanding and knowledge, and so that we wouldn't fear each other and we'd be open to learning and creating peaceful coexistence together. So it's at times like this that we remember some of those founding persons, Yazdi Antia, Sam Vasuna, Irvad Bagli, as well as Ghulam Sarjan and Arya Cohen and Cal Sati. And as I said, we shout out to Shabnise, if she's watching. Hi, Shabnise. I told you we'd mention you. And a reminder that the last in this series is in 2 weeks' time, May 3rd at the Joffrey Community Centre. We'll share more details in the next week or so. Thank you to so many who've already registered. We invite you to register so we can prepare to welcome you. And we hope many of you will stay, visit the sacred space and get to know each other, maybe ask questions of our esteemed panel over refreshments. Thank you again for attending.